This person, they purchased it last year, and after 30 days, they got pregnant. And this is a same-sex couple. So for them, it's like they were trying every single thing, and timing is key. And then they recommended it to their neighbor. Their neighbor got pregnant in 2 months. And then they recommended it to a friend, and their friend told them that they have conceived just last week.
Oh boy.
So it's like,
I wanted to bring today's episode to the podcast talking all about fertility trackers. We are talking about a specific one that we are liking right now and want to share this with you. It's really different from many of the other ones on the market and can really help you pinpoint your hormones in a really easy at-home way. So excited for you to learn more about this fertility tracker so that you can increase your chances of pregnancy success. Let's go. Hey there, I'm Sarah Clark, founder of Fab Fertile and your host. I believe the functional approach is the first step for anyone on the fertility journey, and my aim is to help you get pregnant naturally. Today, I'm welcoming Aastha Jane to the podcast, and we're digging into how tracking our hormones can help improve pregnancy success. Aastha Jane is a social media specialist at Inito. Inito is the world's first home device that allows testing for fertility hormones, all on a single device connected to a smartphone. And by analyzing this data, the app provides personalized insights, diagnoses conditions, and predicts the best treatments to help people become healthier and fertile. Thanks so much for listening. I'm so thankful that you're here. Make sure you hit subscribe or follow. And if you know someone else who is on the fertility journey, please share this podcast with them. Hey, Aastha, excited to have you on the podcast.
oh, it's really, really great to be here. I know we've been planning this for a while, so finally it's happening.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about, so we have a number of trackers that we, recommend to our clients, and Inito is one of the top ones that we probably just discovered in the last, one of our coaches was using it probably for the last 6 months or so, and she's just been raving about it. So then we've started talking to our clients about it, and so I wanted to have you on the podcast so we can dig deeper, because this is that what's really different about your tracker, and we're going to go into it, is we can actually, because we typically during our program, we're having people do some blood chemistry to look at their hormone levels. And, that can be a pain in the butt going back and forth to your physician to do that. But it's really important for us to have these numbers so we can see improvements, because we're making those targeted diet and lifestyle changes. And it's important to see that things are, moving along, and then we can make adjustments as necessary. So let's talk about, so there's a lot of trackers, like this whole femtech quote unquote market has kind of exploded in the last little while. Yeah. Like what, let's just talk about, well, first of all, why is it important for someone to consider a fertility tracker when they're trying to conceive? What are you seeing there?
To be very honest, it is if you are trying to conceive, it is very, very important to know about what is going on in your body. For some, I can say very lucky people, it doesn't matter. They conceive, with trying just a little bit or not trying too much. But with how much our lifestyles have changed, with people trying at a later time in life, it's getting, tougher and tougher for people to conceive. And everything to do with conception is to do with everything that's going inside your body. So if you don't know what's going on inside, if you don't know exactly when you're ovulating, if you don't know if your other hormones are, on track, if, your partner, if it is a male partner, if they've not gotten tested and, you're trying to conceive, it's not happening. It's like, you don't know the details about what's going on. You can't see everything on the outside about what's happening on the inside. Like you get sick, your doctor would recommend, if you get very sick, they would recommend a blood test. Now, if you've been trying to conceive for a while and nothing's happening, you would have to take tests to know what is actually going on inside.
Absolutely. Kind of that knowledge is power. Sometimes we can, hide our heads in the sand, not necessarily, but then when we start knowing our numbers and really, it's being our own advocate is what we encourage at Fab Fertile. Okay. So let's talk about the different, so there's a lot of fertility monitors right now, as we were saying, so let's talk about how Inito is really quite different.
Yes. So there are a lot of factors to go into for this. So firstly, what Inito measures is 4 hormones. That is estrogen, LH, progesterone, and beta FSH. And all of these are on a single test strip. So there are a lot of different monitors who do test hormones, but you have to do it for all different test strips. You have to take the test again and again for that. But in Inito, it all happens within one test strip, and you get your results also within 10 minutes, firstly. Secondly, what Inito measures is beta LH. So there are two types of LH. One is your alpha LH and one is your beta LH. Now, alpha LH is something that most other, I don't want to name names, but most, OPK strips which are there, most monitors which are there, that's what they measured. And the issue with alpha LH is that it very easily cross-reacts with other hormones, which are FSH and TSH and HCG. So sometimes, especially when it cross-reacts with FSH, you might get a wrong result. It might say that you're ovulating earlier than you are actually ovulating. So when Inito tests beta LH, it is, it pinpoints exactly when your LH is rising. It has very low chances of cross-reactivity with other hormones. Also the next thing that I would go into is that we have a huge team of clinical specialists who they're always there to answer. So this is, I don't want to toot my own horn, but if you go and check out our reviews, a lot of people, for them, the biggest thing is, they have a lot of doubts, but they're like, okay, so, but what next? You don't know what's next. You can't go to your doctor for every single doubt you have. That's not possible. So we have our team that'll help you sort of try to understand your charts. If you have any issues in your charts, try to give you medical information to the extent that we can. And I think that is what also people find really helpful and really different. And lastly, what you can see with Inito are your hormone charts. You don't just see you don't just see lines that you have to interpret from. The app tells you everything. The app tells you, you have to test today or you don't have to test today. The app tells you what your exact values of your hormones are. Your app tells you if you are not ovulating. So all of these details, so once you get it, you don't have to think, oh, do I have to take a test today? Oh, did I miss this? What time did I do this? Everything is recorded in the app, and the app suggests what to do next based on all the data that you provide.
And this one would be, so this is for people that are trying to conceive. Do you support people that aren't trying to conceive, or is it's dedicated for people that are trying to conceive?
Currently, it is very dedicated for people who are trying to conceive, though we are considering something else that I don't want to say too much before it's actually a thing. Currently, the market that we are focused on is people who are trying to conceive. And, you never know, if this goes really well, we might just expand into other sections as well.
Great. And so let's just talk about how it works. So I was downloading the app the other day, and it's fairly intuitive and easy, but let's just talk about the mechanics of it, what you need to do, kind of take us through the whole, like, a procedure of how it works and what we're looking for.
So it's actually very simple. I actually have something with me here, so I'll just show you. So You get your phone, you download the app. You do need to remove the cover so that, it fits on your phone perfectly. So this is already a used strip, so it already has markings, but this is how the strip looks like. If somebody's listening to it, if without seeing the video, they might be like, what's going on? But if somebody's seeing the video, they'll understand. So this is how the strip comes with the cap on top. You just dip it. It comes with a cup. You urinate in it. You dip this for 15 seconds. Then you put the cap back on. You attach the monitor to your phone. So you'll get a attachment clip that perfectly fits onto your phone. And then you just put the strip inside like that. And once the strip is in, then the app does everything. For 10 minutes, your phone just has to be there. And the camera in the device will take pictures continuously of the strip which is there, because the camera can see things that the naked eye cannot. Today, if you see this strip, you can see like a couple of lines, that's all right. But what the camera can see is far more, even especially for estrogen and progesterone. So for LH, the darker the line, the more amount it is, right? But for estrogen and progesterone, it's actually the opposite. So if the line is lighter, it actually means the amount is higher. And so obviously the naked eye cannot see that. And that's what Inito does. That's what the camera in the device does.
And then as far as when in the day to urinate, and when
it's first morning urine.
Okay. And then what about and then how often? Then it'll prompt us then, like day 3, day 21, like when are they doing it?
So you start when you purchase the device. Firstly, the app will ask you to enter at least data of your past 2 period cycles, at least the cycle length. So the app can predict when you have to test, and everybody, regardless of the cycle length, has to test on cycle day 6, because that is like a reference test, and that is a reference point for hormones for the rest of your cycle. And after that, based on the cycle length and based on how regular or irregular your periods are, the app will suggest when to test, when not to test.
Let's talk about those different segments in the app as far as that, the fertile days and more.
So there are 3 types of segments that the app will show you. One is high fertile days, one is your peak fertile day, and the last is ovulation confirmed. So in your fertile window actually consists of 6 days. That is 4 days before your ovulation, the day of ovulation, and 1 day after ovulation. Now, if you just test your LH, if you're just testing for ovulation, you will know about the day of ovulation and 1 day after ovulation. That's when you can, try to conceive. But your high fertile window, which is 4 days before ovulation, that is also like a great time not to miss. Why should you waste those 4 days? You should try on those 4 days as well. So when estrogen rises much higher as compared to your baseline level, that's when Inito will say that these are your high fertile days. So it gives 3 to 4 high fertile days, up to 6 for some people, depending on how much their estrogen rises. Now, next is your peak fertile days. So there's a common misconception that you ovulate 24 to 36 hours after your LH peak, when in fact you ovulate 24 to 36 hours after your LH starts rising. And it's only 48% of people for whom it is just, a huge peak on 1 day, and that's all. For the rest of the people, they can have LH, that starts surging a little bit. It stays high for, up to 3 days and then goes back down. So when it starts rising, when it starts to surge, that's when 24 to 36 hours after that is when you ovulate. For some people, their surges are very tiny. For some people, their LH rises 2 to 3 times in the same cycle. So whenever Inito realizes that more than your baseline, your LH is rising, that's when it'll give you a peak fertile day, and also based on some of your past data. And lastly is ovulation confirmed. So it can happen that you do have LH in your body, you do have a good amount of estrogen in your body, but progesterone doesn't rise. And progesterone rising is what confirms ovulation, because after the follicle releases the egg, the corpus luteum also releases progesterone in your body, and that is what really confirms that the egg has been released and you have ovulated. So it can take, for some people, progesterone rises maybe 1 or 2 days after their peak fertile day. For some people, it can even take up to 10 days for progesterone to rise. So Inito, tests it and checks it based on your baseline levels, and then tells you when your progesterone rises that, yes, now you have actually ovulated. Like, this is confirmed that you have ovulated this cycle. It can happen that your progesterone doesn't rise, and in that case, Inito will tell you that this is probably an anovulatory cycle.
And as far as the charts and things that you see, how are you go about sharing those with your practitioner?
So currently, there are 2 options. You can either take screenshots and share that with them, or you can email us at help@inito.com. And, the team will just share a PDF with you that, you can print out or take on your phone, or just email them to your doctor or your practitioner. And we're also currently working on coming up with more ways to make this process easier, that, your doctor or practitioner can have a look at your charts.
Excellent. And how long would it take because sometimes some apps take a couple months to, understand, your body and your fertile days. How long does this app take to kind of get to know you?
So see, whenever you test with the app, the actual value that you get of each of your hormones, that's going to be exact no matter when you test, no matter how you test, right? Even if no matter what part of your cycle you are in. But ideally, it is best if you have taken the cycle day 6 reference test, and you've entered at least period data for the past 2 months. That'll help the app a lot moving forward. And then it honestly depends from body to body. Usually for most people, I think within 1 or 2 cycle, the app understands pretty much. But for some people, it can, especially if you have PCOS or very irregular cycles, it can take up to 3 months for the app to totally, understand you and understand your patterns, and show you predictions more and more based on that.
And so let's talk about the difference between blood and hormones and urine with hormones. So we actually do both. We do like a blood chemistry review, not to diagnose, but to educate, to look at everyone's hormone levels and as well as their glucose and vitamin D and cholesterol panel and way more. Also, we sometimes will bring in a dried urine test. So looking at your hormones over the course of 24 hours. And so that's really impactful. So can you kind of talk about why urine over blood?
I don't think it is just urine over blood. It is based on your personal preference. If you have the time and you have the money to get a blood test done every day, I mean, you can always do that. The only thing is it's not as easy to do a blood test at home as it is to do a urine test at home. When you talk about values, so the average ranges, the typical values, all of that for blood and urine are different because blood and urine are obviously two different mediums altogether. What is pretty much the same is the hormone patterns. So if your LH is at a certain level in blood, it will be if you chart it out, on a graph, the trend of the hormone will be very similar, whether it's in blood or it is in urine. And I do actually, I don't have it right now. If you want, later after this, I can send you this beautiful study that has actually shown these graphs of each hormone. That is, it doesn't have FSH, it does have estrogen, progesterone, and LH. And it shows this actually mapped out that when you see the values are different, but when you see the hormone trend, it is pretty much the same in blood and in urine.
Perfect. Yeah, I'd love to see that study. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll send it to you after this.
Okay, great. So if you could just chat a little bit more about sort of the number. So we've talked about some of the numbers that we received from the app. Anything else you wanted to say about the app, the numbers, and I guess the test strips. So obviously, so you get 12 to 15 strips in a box, or how does it work?
Yes, so you get 15 strips in a box, and later on when you order, you can order for more strips, like 30 or 60 strips. So the first time you order, when you get a starter kit, you get the device, you get the clip to attach the device to your phone, and you get 15 test strips. And then you can just choose to order more as you feel like it. And so if somebody wants to know how many to use, it honestly depends a lot on your cycle length. But if you have, for an average, if you want a ballpark figure, if you have like a cycle which is around 30 days, then 12 to 15 strips would usually be good enough. Though we do have quite a lot of users who don't listen to the app and they just test every single day because they want to see like the whole trend, even after ovulation confirmed or even before high fertile days, they want to see like the whole trend, how it works. So it honestly then depends how many strips you want to use.
Okay. And then a pack of the 15 is about $49 at the time of recording this.
Yes.
Okay. And any other markers on the app of the numbers or anything that would be of interest to point out to us?
I think I have quite extensively spoken about the numbers which are there right now. What I do think is important though is for people to a lot of people, they see a chart and you see your own chart and you're like, okay, I see the numbers, but what does this mean? So for that, either earlier we used to have a lot of people email us, and now we do have a Facebook group where a lot of people share their charts. We share a lot of charts on Instagram as examples that, hey, if this is progesterone, so this is how progesterone can look for different people, and all of this is normal. Or if this is estrogen, then how's estrogen? If this is a PCOS chart, then how would it differ from a chart where somebody doesn't have PCOS or luteal phase defect or anything of that sort? So we do that on Instagram. We do that in our Facebook group as well. So I think it's important for people to interact and see charts of other people to sort of realize what is happening in their own body.
And then, so if someone has an absent period, so we see a lot of people with anovulatory cycles, absent periods, irregular cycles. They, after doing the changes in our Fab Fertile method, they restore their period. But so, what if someone is not ovulating or they're having absent periods? How's the tracker going to help them?
So the tracker is going to help them know if you don't have a period. Well, I mean, you do know you don't have a period. But if you are having an anovulatory cycle, that's when the app will be able to tell you based on your levels that you do have an anovulatory cycle. And also there is one, so an anovulatory cycle can happen in two ways. Either your LH doesn't rise properly or your progesterone doesn't rise. So you're going to get to know that whether the problem is with your LH not rising, do you need to take a trigger shot? Or whether it's with progesterone not rising, do you need to supplement that? So I think that's the key. And even if you have irregular cycles, obviously the app will take a little time to understand your body, but the values that it shows you every single day are going to be exactly what it is with your first morning urine.
And so we have a lot of people that come to us and they have like undiagnosed blood sugar issues. We see this very common as a theme with low AMH and high FSH. And also, say about 100% of people we work with, there's something going on with the thyroid, be it subclinical thyroid issues, Hashimoto's, Graves, not as much, but hypothyroidism. So how would the app help with if there is, pre-diabetes or potential, blood sugar spikes and or thyroid?
So currently we do not measure TSH, or we do not measure, blood sugar levels. I don't want to say too much, but, we do plan on introducing some more things in the future. Right now we're working on other things, a little more focused on fertility, but later on, it might always come. Though I don't think you can say that, Inito directly helps you. I don't want to, give somebody like a false hope that, it'll directly help you know everything about your blood sugar or everything about your thyroid. But again, I think it's important to know about if you're making some changes in your body, right? I'm trying a new lifestyle. I'm trying a new supplement. I'm doing different things. And when I cannot immediately see physical results on my body, but if I test my hormones, if the goal is to get pregnant, then if I test my hormones, then I can see if there has been an improvement based on previous cycles. And we've had quite a few users who have spoken about this, that, based on certain lifestyle changes they made, with the next cycle or the third cycle, or even if they made poor lifestyle changes in a particular cycle, they were able to see those differences in their hormones and realize what they're doing wrong or what they're doing right.
And many of our couples, since they've got these diagnoses that are, quite devastating, with low AMH and high FSH or diminished ovarian reserve, premature ovarian insufficiency, sometimes we find, because they've been tracking for so long, that this stuff is super triggering. What do you share around that? Anything you want to say on that one for us?
Well, it's definitely true. We do. I've seen the first time I saw this, I was a little shocked. But there are people who test with every monitor and every BBT device available on the market. Like, they have fertility boxes. And I know when you are going to go to that extent, for some people, it's not just physical anymore. It is a mental game as well. And I think for that, we do have certain people, like I said, who test regularly. And we do have a lot of users who say that we get anxiety by having to, by having these issues that, I'm seeing my test here, I'm seeing these results, that result. So then they prefer that they will only test when the app tells them to. And for the rest of the time, they will not even open the app at all, so that they don't have that anxiety by seeing those numbers every single day. And lastly, for some people, it depends now how far along you are in, tracking different devices. For people who have just switched from LH strips to Inito, usually for them, they like the peace of mind that they're like, okay, I know a little more in detail about my body than I did before. So it depends on where you are in your TTC journey, and it can affect everybody differently. For some people, it's like they love being a part of the Facebook group. Some people, it's like, okay, I don't want fertility content anymore. I don't want to be part of this, so they don't do it. So yes, it depends on personal preferences.
Yeah, to listen to your intuition on that piece, kind of like if it's been years and years of tracking and now doing this is kind of causing you problems, you can thing is, it's hard to do it and then share it with your practitioner without looking at it. But I guess if you do the help desk and send it over, but it is important for us to look at some of these numbers so we can see, what we need to do to tweak and adjust. And this is just way more convenient than perhaps doing some of the blood tests that you need to go out to a lab to do. So that's why we like the convenience factor and the fact that it's, checking all those critical hormones. And so, is there anything you're obsessed with right now personally, be it a book, an app, a documentary? Obviously, you're probably obsessed with the Inito app, but is there anything you'd like to share with the listeners there?
So I've not finished this book, but I'm at the start of this book. It's called It Starts with an Egg.
Yeah.
So I'm currently reading that. I'm sure you know about it. I'm sure a lot of listeners also know about it. But when I started reading it, I was like, it's really nice. I feel like it's very easy to understand, easy to grasp content, very easily explained for somebody who's not from a science background as well. So I think that is something I really love. And also Inito is coming up with their own like ebooks to help understand easy fertility concepts, because this is all about understanding science firstly to try to get into all this. People always have so many questions. So when that comes out, hopefully that is something people will like as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. And it starts with the egg. I did an episode that the listeners can check out, what to do after you've read. It starts with the egg, because there's a lot of people who've done many of the recommendations in there. So we just talk to dig a little bit deeper. So you can check out that.
I'm not trying to conceive, but I'm now trying to cut out BPA from my life as well.
Right.
Just listening to all those things, I was like, okay, not for me.
Yeah. Don't take the receipts, throw out the plastic water bottles. Yeah. And then what about, so where was Inito founded? Was it founded in the States, or is it founded in India? Where is it founded?
It's founded in India, but it is FDA approved and available in the States.
Okay. And how long has it been around for? I didn't look into that piece.
It's been around for a long time. I mean, if you say when it like really started, it's about 8 years ago. But when it started, I mean, a huge part of it was not just that make this and sell it. It was about perfecting the product. Then after the product was perfected, it was about perfecting the support system. Marketing at Inito started much later. It's in fact the clinical team and the support team that came in much before it was even marketed to a lot of people. Then it was tested quite a lot, and a lot of FDA approvals had to be taken. And then now it is available in US.
Excellent. And any success stories you'd like to share? I'm sure there's probably lots.
Oh, there are lots, but actually there's this one comment. I want to read it out. It was when I read it, I loved it. Just give me 1 second to find that.
Sure.
Yeah. So we got this comment about like 5 days ago, right? So this person says that it's such a good review. It almost sounds like a fake review. So that's how good it is. It's like if she says that if you're debating on getting Inito, please stop considering anything else and buy Inito, because this person, they purchased it last year, and after 30 days they got pregnant, and this is a same-sex couple. So for them, it's like they were trying every single thing, and timing is key. And then they recommended it to their neighbor. I mean, I think their neighbor just used their own device, and their neighbor got pregnant in 2 months. And then they recommended it to a friend, and their friend told them that they have conceived just last week.
Oh boy.
So it's like, I was like, that is amazing. Something's going on over here. So I think the success stories are plenty. People use it in a lot of different ways. We've had one fabulous story when one person was like, she was not understand. The Inito doesn't tell you that you have to do this, but, she was working along with a doctor. And what they wanted to figure out is when should you start supplementing progesterone, because that's what she really needed to do. And after seeing the results, when the doctor said, as soon as you get ovulation confirmed, that's when you start supplementing. Don't supplement before that. And she tried that, and she got pregnant. And I think that's how we've had a lot of amazing success stories.
Excellent. I love it. And so they can, the listeners can use a code Fab Fertile 15 to save 15%. And they go to Inito, inito.com, and they can use that code to save. So any final thoughts here, Aastha?
Oh, I just think it was really, really lovely to be here. And I am actually, after I finish It Starts With an Egg, I do want to read your book as well. So awesome. I'm excited for that.
Thank you. Great. Well, thank you for coming on, sharing your words of wisdom. And we'll have the links in the show notes here, so you can check out Inito, and we strongly recommend it. So awesome. Well, take care.
You too.